I don't even know how Mom knew that pond was there, but she was a school teacher and she was always looking for ways to inspire me to want to learn and have fun doing it. And she knew I loved to be outdoors, so we were going on field trips all the time, Mom and I. And so, anyways, I remember this one day we jumped in the car and she drove out into the forest, into what seemed like the middle of nowhere. And I remember stopping beside the pond. There was nobody around, getting outside, and it was so loud. It was so loud because all the frogs were singing. It was spring, and all of the frogs were singing at the same time. You know what that's like. So loud. And it was because it was spring, the pond had flooded up into the grass. And so I put on my big black rubber boots so I wouldn't get a soaker. Mom didn't bring her rubber boots, so she had to stay back at the car. And I started carefully down the ditch, going through the tall grass and the bushes, trying to be as quiet as I could because I didn't want the frogs to hear me, right? So I creep up to the edge of the pond, get over there, kneel down, take my jar, scoop it down into the water, not too fast because you'll stir everything up. You won't see anything, right? Got my jar and I hold it up to the light. I got 2 mosquito larvae and a tadpole. And as soon as I yelled back to Mom, all the frogs, silent, all instantly at the same time. It was so quiet. I wanted my kids, Jacob and Cassidy, to have that same cool experience that I had. So I took them back home to visit Mom and Dad in Cold Lake, and I took them out to the same pond. They were so excited. I told them about, my experience, and they couldn't wait. They just couldn't wait. And it was springtime, so we got out there, got out of the car, and it was so loud. The frogs all singing. And Jacob and Cassidy are jumping up and down, and they're just so excited. I'm like, okay, guys, remember, you got to go real slow and real quiet, or all the frogs are going to hear you, right? Yeah, Dad. Yeah, Dad. So away they go, pew, down into the ditch, and they're doing great. They're going through the grass. They're hardly making a sound. They both get over to the edge of the pond. And I remember Cassidy standing up with her jar. Hey, Dad! And then all the frogs instantly quiet. Just like when it was me. And, when my grandkids get to this world, boy, I want to be able to share that experience with them. It's so cool. But I'm not sure I'm going to be able to be honest. You see, that pond is the headwaters of a little wetland that then drains 3.5 kilometers in a little winding creek down to the Beaver River. It's very small. When I first went there, that creek had to cross one railway line that was taking fuel to the military base. But now that creek has to cross 4 roads, a pipeline, the railway still, an electricity transmission line that's like really wide and mowed right down to the ground. They might even be using herbicides. And the city of Cold Lake is growing. The military base is growing. They're cutting down forest to make room for agriculture. And I went and looked on Google Earth, and now that wetland there's nowhere where it's not more than 200 meters from human footprint. And if that trend continues, the cumulative effects of all of that, I can't be sure those frogs are going to be there for my grandkids. To be honest, I can't even be sure the pond is going to be there. Isn't that why we're all thinking about cumulative effects? Because we have responsibilities. We don't just do it because, there's development referrals to review or environmental assessments to complete. We don't just do it because it's our job, right? We know, Mom was right. We know we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to take care of the environment. And we aren't sure that business as usual is going to leave enough for our kids and our grandkids. We're not sure. And we also know that we have a responsibility to create and maintain good jobs, good paying jobs. Cumulative effects is really about our responsibility to sustainability. And sustainability is absolutely possible, but not if we stubbornly keep doing what we're doing. We need systemic change. We know how to evaluate the benefits and costs of individual projects, but it's just that's just no longer enough. We have to be able to assess the cumulative effects of all human land uses, natural disturbance like wildfire, floods, and climate change, all simultaneously, over meaningful time and space. Because that's our reality. And that's why we created the RavenWater Learning Circle.